I decided to specialize in ME/CFS after I did my research. So I did a dissertation where I reviewed the microbiome of about 84 chronic fatigue ME diagnosed individuals and looked at the immune response and doing a deep dive into the literature. I was just so fascinated and about this condition. And I just really saw a place that, gosh, I can really help these people.
Yoga Mara welcomes you to the Love Your Limits podcast. We are two sisters from the west of Ireland with a passion for helping people connect back to themselves and feel less alone on their journey. Both of us have contrasting personalities, career background, and life experience, yet each of us found physical, emotional, and mental healing from learning to live more intuitively and with integrity.
We will be sharing our own personal journeys alongside interviewing a wide range of health and wellness experts that will empower you to shed fear, self-doubt, and move into a place of self-love and confidence. It is time to put yourself first, create healthy boundaries, and learn to love your limits. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. Today we are so excited to be joined by the gorgeous Jessica O'Dwyer. Jessica is a nutrition practitioner based in London. She brings a wealth of expertise with her master's degree in personalised nutrition and nearly a decade of experience in the field. Jessica has dedicated herself to helping individuals navigate the complexities of health conditions like ME, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. Her passion doesn't stop there. She's also deeply invested in gut and hormone health. Understanding the challenges faced by couples struggling with infertility, Jessica extends her support and guidance to help them on their journey towards parenthood. Her approach is not just about diets, it's about nurturing hope and health in every aspect of life. Jessica, thank you so much for being with us today. You're very welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. And congratulations on your podcast.
Oh, thank you. And Jessica,
excited.
We go way back. Not only are you a dear friend of ours, we both shared in running workshops together. We've done workshops around gut health, hormonal health. I mean, we're both in awe of you because of the wealth of knowledge you have. And for me, on a personal level, we worked together on a one-to-one basis. And you helped me through my struggles with experiences of symptoms of ME. And I actually was diagnosed with ME or CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, about a year and a half ago now. And I just have to say, you gave me such hope, and we'll touch on that more and we'll get into it in more detail. But just to begin, for our listeners, could you just start by explaining what personalised nutrition is and how it differs from general dietary advice?
Absolutely. Okay, what a place to start. So, personalised nutrition is all about addressing the individual and not this one-size-fits-all approach, because it doesn't work. It really is about understanding that individual's genetic makeup, to what they're exposed in their environment, what makes them unique. And it really is about identifying the root cause of their symptoms and not necessarily masking it with, just trying to address that symptom individually. It's like, okay, I'm almost like a health detective. I go trying to root out, okay, well, what is driving this condition or these symptoms that you're presenting with, and looking at it from a holistic approach, and then giving them that hope that they can do this through looking at their lifestyle, looking at their nutrition. And obviously there's a place for conventional medicine. So it's like working alongside their doctors, but really looking at it from, okay, nutrition, lifestyle, and helping them understand the why to their symptoms. That's what personalized nutrition is. And just, helping the individual learn about themselves and give them that autonomy.
Yeah, and giving them the tools and the education so that they can make more informed decisions.
Exactly.
And that's what I loved about working with you. that you got to the root cause.
Yeah.
It was so thorough, my consultations with you. We went into such detail, and I felt for the first time in so many years, I was being listened to. I was being seen. I was being understood. And I didn't feel like I was imagining these symptoms, because for years I suffered with chronic fatigue and a number of other symptoms like brain fog, inflammation in my body, in my legs, in my gut. And it was just this vicious cycle that was going on for years. And I was getting blood tests and all of that, but nothing was showing up. And just from your perspective, can you share some insights into the common nutritional imbalances seen in individuals with complex health conditions such as chronic fatigue syndrome?
Absolutely. So with fatigue, there's no blood test for fatigue. There's no blood test that will show, it's really about, it's very multifactorial, especially when we're looking at ME/CFS. And it's about, okay, how can we navigate what is potentially happening in this individual's body, whether it be chronic inflammation. And okay, again, going back further, what is the body's, where is the body's energy resources being pushed? Okay, so let's say we touch on inflammation. There's what we have, if we kind of go to, it's quite a complex topic, but if we go to biochemistry, okay, and how we produce energy, if we start there, you've got three important elements. You've got your macronutrients, which is your carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And this is what gets converted to what's called ATP, okay? And from oxidative phosphorylation that happens in our cells, this is how we produce energy. Now, let's say you've got inflammation in the body. So your immune system is being activated. Now, the inflammatory response, so important. We need it, otherwise we wouldn't survive. But what happens in individuals with ME/CFS is they get this chronic activation of their immune system, and they've got high inflammation in most cases. So your body moves its energy resources from the organelles. So we've got mitochondria that's producing the ATP. Your body moves the energy resources to your immune system that's trying to keep that. So you're almost like kicking a hole in the energy bucket. It's so you get those kind of when you're sick and you're feeling tired and your body just needs that rest, it's because your immune system is it's using its energy to work. But in cases of chronic fatigue, this is constant. So that can be one part of it. Now, like I said, it's very multifactorial. It's really about, okay, understanding, well, what is activating this? So we've got, let's say, our stress response involved there as well. But when we look at it from a nutrition perspective, okay, coming back to what are the critical aspects that we want to look at? Protein, 100% protein, because your immune system is using the protein, okay? So we're not getting enough protein then for muscle repair. So I end up increasing protein with a lot of my clients, looking at, let's say, what their body weight is in kg, and I give them about 1 gram of protein per kg of body weight, just to help their body with all those kind of processes that are happening. And then I look at, okay, so they've got, let's say we spend a little bit of time building up their protein. When there's that inflammation as well, it can dysregulate our blood sugars and insulin resistance can happen. So then we're looking at, okay, how can we keep your blood sugars stabilized? So really pulling back on the refined carbohydrate, the sugar, which can be quite difficult for people with fatigue because
you crave it.
That's what they feel like's giving them their energy.
Yeah.
And it's very, I almost try to get to their baseline energy without caffeine, without sugar, so that we can really listen to their body and become really in tune with it as we move throughout, so we can gauge what is helping and what's not. And then within those macronutrients, you've got the micronutrients, because then you've got those micronutrients like your vitamin Bs, your magnesium, that helps to turn the cog, for converting those macronutrients to eventually ATP. So those 3 important factors, like the protein, the blood sugar stabilizing, the micronutrients. And this comes back to the personalized approach.
Yeah.
So, similar to yourself, it was, we wanted to look at, okay, we needed to build your protein up.
Yeah.
Like, you were very aware of your nutrition before we even started working together. So we kind of went a bit deep early on because you already had these important foundations in place. So whenever I'm working with someone with ME/CFS, I always make sure they have those important foundations first before we move into the really complex stuff. And when I say complex stuff, I'm talking like infections, the inflammatory response, mold, toxicity, all of those. And so those important foundations are like, we could be working on that for some individuals for about 6 months, stabilizing the blood sugars.
And it does take quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing for people that are listening that might be suffering with these symptoms, that it's not something that's going to change overnight, but it can change. And there is such hope out there. Like I can't believe how much better I feel now.
Yeah.
And when I think back at at that time, I just felt so hopeless and I felt just this constant fatigue. And I thought to myself, am I ever going to feel in my own body again? That was my way. I thought, am I going to have to accept this as my new normal? And I refused to do that because I knew in my gut, no pun intended, that there was something else deeper going on.
Yeah.
And I knew, okay, it wasn't showing up in blood tests, but I knew there had to be something else out there. And when I spoke to you, I just felt so full of hope, and also the pressure was off me. There was something outside of myself that was happening, and it wasn't my fault, which sounds so bizarre, but I didn't need to beat myself up all the time anymore. And when I went on that high protein diet, I honestly, yes, it was hard initially. For the first few days, you just are exhausted. The sugar is leaving your system.
Exactly.
But oh my goodness, was it worth it? Because the energy levels and boost I felt having stuck to it, I couldn't get over it. I was waking up before my alarm, and I was starting to feel back to myself. The inflammation was going down. And what I had noticed when I was quite low at the time, I was developing intolerances to things like gluten and maybe dairy that I wouldn't have had before. But because, as you spoke about and touched on, my immunity was so low and, my microbiome was probably compromised as well. Everything was kind of shutting down for me. It felt like.
That's exactly what happens with people with CFS or ME. They feel very alone, very isolated because they've exhausted their resources with getting testing, getting referred to rheumatologist, cardiologist, and there's no answer. And I get quite emotional about it, to be honest, because when I can see it in their eyes and I can see it in their body and their face. When I just start explaining some things to them, I can just see them. Their shoulders just go,
I can breathe.
I feel seen. And
that's exactly it.
I feel understood. Like the first thing I say to any of my clients when we start, I'm like, if you need to take a break at all today within this next hour, please just let me know. Because even just sitting on a screen can be so overwhelming for them and can be a trigger as well to a crash or, just so... Even that in themselves, they're like, okay, because they wouldn't normally get that. And they'd be going to appointment after appointment and relying on their family and friends so it's not just physical, it's psychological, it's all aspects of it. It really is. And touching on what you were saying about gut health and sensitivities, it's kind of, it's not just one thing, and people are they're kind of in the mindset that it's that one thing. I just need to find that one reason why this is happening. But it isn't, and it's important that we go on a journey to find out. Okay, are you now? How is your immune system in sensitivities to food? Like with you, the gluten, and and I'm not I don't, there's gluten's got a bad rep and everyone thinks they go to a nutritionist and that's it, they're off gluten. No, gluten, yes, it gets broken down in the body in a certain way, but with individuals where their immune system is compromised, their gut barrier, there's been high stress hormones activated, their gut barrier, the muscle becomes weak. It atrophies because of the high stress. That's what cortisol, our stress hormones, do. Yeah. So then your immune system then can become quite sensitive to things like the gliadin in protein. So it's almost like we temporarily remove it to give your system a bit of
a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I needed.
And then bring it back in eventually, is very important. But it's that trying to get that understanding to individuals. Again, this is the personalized approach, and that there's not, people think, oh, well, I don't have that one thing, then there must be something really wrong with me then, if I can't find the answer. It's just about what makes you unique. What do we need to fine tune so that we can just get everything back
for them.
Yeah.
It's like going to a gym instructor as well. And you're going for an exercise program. We don't all get the same program. We're all different people with different bodies. So, we all need that individual program and assessment and thorough consultation. But I think it's just so interesting to hear like your experience with other people and to hear that, I wasn't alone in that there's so many others going through this as well. So it's really reassuring as well and comforting, and to also know that there's so many things that you can do to help this, that there are ways out of it. And now, and like I can eat gluten no problem now, and I absolutely love it. But I've also developed so much more awareness because I've been educated around this, and I'm more in tune with my body, and I know when I'm feeling stressed, that and I'm getting better at that. There was a time where I wouldn't realize I was so stressed, and my body was under such pressure, and the cortisol was flooding my body.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was from my thoughts or, sometimes I speak about like my internal dialogue was so negative, and I think that had a huge impact on my gut.
Yeah.
And, that's a whole other conversation as well, the gut-brain axis. But it does, your thoughts can feed your actual gut and your symptoms. And I think my symptoms were, created because of that. And everyone's so different. But I wanted to touch on, how helpful and life-changing your help has been for me. So thank you.
But I think as well, Rachel, like you had the awareness, and I think, that you as well, you were going to the doctors, you were going getting blood tests, and you kept getting the result like, well, nothing's wrong with you. And other people may get that and say, oh, okay, well, that's all I can do then. Whereas hopefully this podcast as well is going to help on the work you do, Jess. It's giving people the option to say there's other ways to feel better. There's other ways to look after yourself. And nutrition, like we are what we eat, it comes back to that. Yeah. Do you have any feel-good stories of those success stories where you've worked with people for years on their chronic fatigue or with their ME, anything that you want to share with us of the journey, let's say, from when you first met them to where you got them to be, excluding Rachel, because we all know that. We talk about that for too long, I'd say.
Do you know, I'll go with my most recent case, who I had her consultation yesterday. Gosh, like I've seen probably close to 1,000 clients now. So I've been a decade in the industry, and I decided to specialize in ME/CFS after I did my research. So I did a dissertation where I reviewed the microbiome of about 84 chronic fatigue ME diagnosed individuals and looked at the immune response, and like doing a deep dive into the literature. I was just so fascinated about this condition, and I just really saw a place that, gosh, I can really help these people. So looking at a client, let's say yesterday, okay, so I started working with her about a year and a half ago. Obviously, I'm not going to name any names. She works in psychology, and she got her CFS after COVID. So hers was technically long COVID, but long COVID fits within ME CFS.
Yeah.
And she basically, first we started working on the blood sugar stabilizing, setting those very important foundations, because that takes the pressure off her system. And then I spent about 6 months working on her gut health. So I did a comprehensive stool test with her. There was dysbiosis in the microbiome, so there was an imbalance of bacteria. She had high in immune markers, what's called kind of your secretory IgA.
Yeah.
So that was kind of giving me an indication around her gut barrier function, her immune activation. There was issues with the way that she kind of breaks down fats, and fats are very important for our inflammatory system. You know, we eat EPA, DHA from omega-3 for our inflammation. So we were doing a bit of work on that for a while, making sure she was able to digest and absorb, get her microbiome in a good place. And so she started seeing improvements after we were kind of working on that, setting those foundations. But she was also, so basically she had mycotoxins as well. So that's exposure to mold. Mycotoxins are quite toxic for the body. So we had to do a whole kind of look at mold. It turns out she was she couldn't visibly see mold in our house. But she got a mold remediation in, and she had really extreme high levels in the main room that she worked, because she worked remotely in that room. And then I had to do I did an infections blood test with her as well. And she had particular yeast kind of overgrowth. So we working on that can take a while. And unless she got the mold remediated from her house, then we would have just been going around in a vicious circle. Yeah. So anyway, thankfully she was in the situation where she could get that completely remediated. And we did, she's such a great client. All my clients they're just incredible humans, honestly. I get quite, sometimes we could be crying together.
It's such an emotional. It's draining.
Yeah.
Imagine not it's that anyone I talk to that has symptoms of that. It's I just don't feel like myself.
That's
when you feel sick for a week, let's say you have flu and you're just not yourself.
That's it.
That is so mentally and emotionally draining. So I can totally understand why it's an emotional journey as much as it is a physical.
Yeah. It's quite isolating.
So many. It affects your confidence. It affects your self-worth. It affects your self-belief.
Yeah.
It affects you showing up for yourself. It affects, just so many things. It prevents you from being the person you want to be, that you're trying to be.
Yeah.
And you're just too exhausted to try and do it. Yeah. So I think for you to be working with patients with these, chronic fatigue syndromes, it must be such a rewarding experience as well when you see the results, because they just are at a point where they don't think there's any hope, and that's just it for them.
Yeah.
So when they meet you, I'm sure they're just oh my God, yes, come here now.
But I must mention, it's also very important that, we work quite closely with their doctors and psychology as well. So I practice at a clinic in London, and then I have my own private practice, but the clinic that I practice at, the Optimum Health Clinic, that's where I see all my ME CFS clients. And we have a fantastic psychology team as well. Brilliant. So when the client comes to see us, they're working with nutrition, psychology, and then we already have that communication pathway set up with their doctor as well. And,
Amazing.
It's that integrative approach is really important for these clients. And there'll be times with some individuals that are really bed-bound clients that sometimes we have to take it very slow. We have to pace with these individuals. And there'll be times where we're taking a little break on nutrition and they're working with psychology. Yeah. And then, then we kind of come back. It's very important that we have that communication pathway with their other practitioners. And so back to my lady that I was just discussing there, she's incredible psychologist herself, so she had those tools, which was really great. And once we kind of got her system back and strong and the mold cleared. We're kind of working on some menopausal symptoms now at the moment, but she's breezing through menopause now as well. Like it's she's that. It was interesting. Like she would have lost her cycle. It was close to a year. Then she got COVID, and then she bled again, and then this is kind of all cascaded. Like the menopause is a whole other topic that we could do a whole other podcast on, especially when it comes to chronic fatigue, because the demographic of chronic fatigue is tenfold to women than men and middle-aged women.
Why is that? Do we know?
It's just a combination of things, Rachel. It's, the stress response is, yes, a very important aspect of it, because if you're going about life and you've got this, you're constantly exposed to stressors. Remember, your body doesn't distinguish between whether you're running from a bear or you're worried about paying your mortgage. It sets off the same signals. Okay. Now imagine you've got infections there. You've got bacterial dysbiosis also happening. That's a physical stress in the body that you can't see. You've just been, getting on with your gut symptoms and thinking they're normal. That happens so often with people. Or, I got diagnosed with IBS like 10 years and I've done nothing about it, because there is no conventional treatment really for IBS. It is, can be diet and lifestyle. A very, very high percentage of people who have IBS, I think about 75% of people who have IBS have a small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. It's called SIBO. And SIBO completely, really affects how, depending on the severity, malabsorption of nutrients, weakened gut barrier, and people could be experiencing that for a long time as well. So I think with middle-aged women, I think it's a combination of things, to be honest. It's not just that one thing again. That if you're just getting along in life and you're pushing out that stress hormone, I say it is like you're pressing on the accelerator with the handbrake up. And what's going to happen to your engine?
Crash.
That's it. Yeah. It's your body will then, your cortisol will struggle to keeping up with that output. So then you get chronic fatigue. So it's really about kind of rebuilding that again, that building that stress response, because we need the stress response. Absolutely. It's so important. We need cortisol to get us out of bed in the morning. That's our circadian rhythm, and the melatonin peaks at night, and it happens every day.
It's switching it off is the problem.
This is it. So those people that are struggling to settle their thoughts at night, like I'm a big advocate when I start working with an individual is working on their sleep, getting their circadian rhythm balanced. Lifestyle practices like yoga, meditation, so important. But it's for meditation, I know you guys, you say this as well, it's not to be forced. People there can be so many different things that can be our meditation. Yoga is a meditation, and it's a movement of the body. These things can be really great in the evening to kind of settle that nervous system, reconnect with the mind body. And then your cortisol will drop, your melatonin will peak. And then what happens throughout when we sleep? It's like your body resets. You've got so much powerful things that happen in our body when we sleep. And it's really, I know there's a lot of talk about it, but it really is still so underrated. And I think we take it for granted so much.
So I agree
and
so much.
And I think the thing with CFS, when you're in the thick of it, you sleep, no problem. I had no problem sleeping. The problem was I would wake up feeling not one bit refreshed.
Exactly.
And you're just waking up exhausted, having slept so much. So there was no switch off. It was just like, as you mentioned, that analogy of pressing down on the pedal with the handbrake up. So getting a nice sleep routine in before bed, and just like your sleep hygiene is so crucial.
So crucial.
And phones are such a big play in that as well.
Oh gosh,
you know what I mean?
Don't get me started.
Like it's so easy to stay scrolling. I'm a devil for it. And it is. I notice like with the nights where I just read a book before bed, the difference in the type of sleep I have.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And
I've
like that,
started
it's so simple,
using the Whoop.
Oh yeah.
Now my husband is saying, he's like, I don't know why you got that, because I really get into it.
Yeah, love the data.
I love the data. And I'm like looking at why my recovery was lower when I might have done less. And what I'm kind of playing around a little bit. And what I'm really noticing is the difference in my nutrition, in the impact of my recovery.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Because, your heart rate variability, all of that, it tracks your sleep so well. It can tell you exactly when you were in REM sleep, deep sleep, light sleep. It's really interesting. Honestly, I'm getting too into it at the moment. I almost need to
This
pull
is
back.
the thing. I don't want to get one because I know I'll become obsessed with
I
this.
do not recommend any of those devices for any of my chronic fatigue clients.
No.
It's not going to be, from a psychological perspective,
That's
it's
the
not
thing.
good. And it's not going to give you the answers that you're looking for. It's only going to fuel the stress response more.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't advocate anyone with any kind of, to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that you touched on the fact that it is a whole team of people that you need to work with. It's not just nutrition we're looking at, it's psychological as well. There's a lot of emotion and it's a mental journey as well. And that connection between the gut and brain is so crucial. And it's something I've experienced firsthand. And I just can't get over how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And what can change when we change the story as well in our own inner dialogue
Absolutely.
too. That's a huge part
But
of
it's
it.
hard when you've brain fog.
Very hard.
When you've got brain fog
you can't
and
even think.
you are just feeling so flat and you're losing your
Focus.
your memory, your focus, you're really questioning your ability.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite difficult. I really advocate for psychology and therapy and mindfulness practices.
Yeah. I remember, sorry now to interrupt, but I remember just on that, and it just reminded me of it, how bad my memory was.
Yes.
And I used to get really sensitive about it because I remember Hannah would be like, Rachel, I told you that. And I was like, I don't remember ever you mentioning this. And it could have been just the day before, but my memory was just so bad. And when I heard that was a symptom of it as well, I kind of gave myself a little bit of a break then, to say, hold on, okay, you're dealing with a lot here. This is part of CFS. It's part of the condition. But that was something I used to get really insecure about.
Yeah.
I'd be questioning everything and doubting myself, thinking, oh my gosh, I couldn't retain information.
Yeah. I always try to keep the structure of my appointments with my chronic fatigue clients so that they know what they're expecting when they show up. So with brain fog and memory, they don't feel like they're not getting everything across in the session. So we'll always come back to, we'll start, there's many symptoms, but I always get them to, what's your top 5 symptoms that we're going to work on?
Yeah.
Fatigue is always
Number one.
Brain fog is always number 2. There's either always a swollen lymph nodes or some form of immune symptom there. Like, it depends on, what kind of CFS. Like, sometimes there can be like gut symptoms are up there, others it can be anxiety, depression, it really varies from those type, but the core ones are your fatigue, your brain fog. And it's the brain, it uses so much energy, but when we're looking at, again, kind of back to inflammation with CFS, inflammation in the brain, it leads to brain fog.
Yeah.
So we've got to work on the gut brain, that communication pathway, vagus nerve, the inflammatory pathways in the brain. So it's, brain fog is hard.
It's definitely a big struggle and a massive symptom as part of CFS.
And I love that you create this holistic approach as well. So would you recommend other lifestyle practices to your clients outside of the nutrition side? I know you work with the psychologists and doctors as well, but is that something that you offer in your personalised approach?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely, because the way I explain it to clients is the nutrition is really about helping your system function.
Yeah.
Okay. Then lifestyle is, so let's say stress management. So the psychology team, they have, they could be working on kind of different modalities, but stress reduction and getting them understanding the vagus nerve, the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, because they can be more in the sympathetic response, which is that wear and tear. Okay, so the gut barrier, the gut lining, that muscle being broken down. So the vagus nerve goes from the amygdala in our brain to the back of our adrenal glands and all throughout of our digestive system. And it's like a big, if you think of it like a big wire, okay, like a cable, okay, connecting things and sending messages. So when we get the activation of our stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, what happens is it sends the signal to say we're more in the sympathetic response, okay? So, right, muscles, start releasing glycogen, start releasing energy, because they're going to either run or they're preparing for some form of action to give them energy. Let's say you're running for a bus, okay? You're running for the bus. It's giving you that burst of energy, and then you should settle, okay? So and that all gets sent via those signals, and that's the response. So being able to put nutrition in place, like things like adaptogen herbs to support the adrenal glands, and things like magnesium and the right nutrients from their diet, and, you know, supplements to complement, but it's certainly not to replace a poor diet. You know, we use supplements at, you know, certain therapeutic dosages to facilitate like the system functioning at a you know, if it's, let's say the adrenals are under pressure, like that stress response, and we want to build, let's say if we're rebuilding the cortisol. So it's doing that from a nutrition perspective, but from lifestyle is very important. So if they're, let's say, constantly running for those buses and I'm putting adaptogen herbs in, it's like, no, you need to allow your body to. So what I always recommend, like deep breathing, yoga, meditation, and things like, you know, that can support your vagus nerve. Like sometimes I'm getting my clients to sing in the shower. I'm getting them to like gargle their water. They're like, what is going on? Just anything that's going to help to signal the vagus nerve and more in, because the parasympathetic nervous system is rest and digest. You're not going to be digesting a meal if you're running from a tiger. That's what your brain is thinking. So you're going to not have that capacity to digest the meal as efficiently. So you want to be more in the, when you're eating a meal, even reproducing. Like with my fertility couples, you know, some of them that have incredibly stressful jobs, you know, I'm kind of saying like, what's more important for you right now? If the stress isn't going to be able to be reduced in work, you need to be sending signals to your brain that this is it. This is a safe space to bring in a baby, and not you're bringing your baby into a war. You know, that's what your brain is. So do you need to kind of look at seeing where you can cut down on certain things, so it'll just help with your stress response. So doing lifestyle recommendations around nutrition is definitely crucial.
And the body is so clever, you know, it's so clever. It'll tell you, it'll give you the signs, and, you know, we need to listen to those.
When your body whispers, you got to listen before it shouts.
Before it screams, exactly. I love that phrase. It's so important, and I can resonate with it so much. And like I think it's just so important to have those, you know, those little practices like breath work. The breath work we would teach is all around the vagus nerve. It's all around stimulating and, you know, soothing the vagus nerve, because that's our healing nerve in our body. We have the power to heal through so much, you know, and we have the breathwork tools, we have the food, we have our yoga practice, mindfulness, and it does make such a difference. It really does. Like just a few deep breaths can actually make you feel so much better and bring you into that parasympathetic state. Just to ask a quick question here, Jess, are there any common misconceptions about diet and health for you that you encounter frequently in your practice? I'd say so many.
There is so much nutritional noise out there, so much nutritional noise. And I genuinely feel for people that are searching for advice. And now there is great advice out there, don't get me wrong, but there is so much noise as well, and so many things that can be taken out of context. But the big kind of misconception that aside from the one size fits all approach, is things like fat. Like I still have people coming to me saying, oh, I'm eating fat-free this and fat-free that. We need our healthy fats. It is so important for our health. Our brain is made up of fat and water. We need fat. Now, I'm not saying have your trans fats and your saturated fats, because yes, that can lead to inflammation, but your healthy fats, like the Mediterranean diet, you know, when I did a bit of research on depression and the Mediterranean diet, like you're really, because like depression, it's an inflammatory condition, and we need our healthy fats to help with inflammation, like EPA and DHA that I briefly mentioned earlier from omega-3s. That helps our inflammatory response so much. And the Mediterranean diet, like olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, honestly, I put it on everything. Yeah, it's a powerful antioxidant. You've got good fats there. But as long as I'm getting a balance with my omega-3s and my omega-6s, you know, getting things like, sometimes I'm like adding things like borage oil, or I'm having my oily fish, I'm having walnuts, flax seeds, your avocados, you know, all of these are really good, healthy fats. And I still see some people that are fearful of fats.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a big thing that I'm still seeing. So I'm there trying to push fat on them, and they're what? This is not what I expected.
It's coming back to, it's kind of coming back to basics.
Yeah.
And I think it's so easy for us to get caught up with social media. We've access to, as you said, so much information, and there's so many trends now.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know if it's more a female thing, but it's all around how you look versus how you feel.
Yes.
And how I look needs to be skinny, toned, whatever it might be, but you might feel terrible because you're not getting that nutrition or the right fats or whatever you're cutting out of your diet. But what I love about your approach, Jess, is that it is this holistic approach, that you're working with mind, body, connection. And that's what's so important. And you help so many people. You've helped Rachel, which is just amazing. Thank you for helping my sister. But thank you so much for being here with us. I really we love chatting to you. We could talk to you for days.
I know,
have you back
really
on
could.
again, all the other topics. But it's just amazing to talk to you, and thank you for sharing all your knowledge into this. And I'm sure loads of people are going to get the help that they need from it. And we will put all your details in the show notes as well, so people know how to get in touch if they want to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you for listening to the Love Your Limits podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If something resonated with you or you would like to learn more, please find all contact details in the show notes. We are also delighted to offer our listeners 1 month free access to Yogamara on demand. Use the code LOVEYOURLIMITS at sign up to watchyogamara.com. And remember, learning to love your limits is an act of self-care and self-love.